Massive change is coming for the New York Islanders. After a very disappointing season, there was no doubt that there will be changes to the Islanders roster. But now there's also talk that there will be change in management for the New York Islanders. We're going to break it all down on this episode of Islanders Digest. But before we do that, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Be one of our first 100 subscribers. If you're an Islander fan and you want more Islanders content just like this, be sure to subscribe because this offseason is going to be a crazy offseason. A lot is going to happen compared to previous years, and you don't want to miss any of the updates. Speaking of, let's get right into this. The other day when we were talking about Lou Lamoriello potentially signing a Kyle Palmieri contract, I basically said that I had very little hope that Lou Lamoriello would be fired. And we still don't know what is going to happen. But now, after this tweet from Chris Botta, an insider who definitely knows a lot about what's going on in the Islanders organization, there's hope that maybe there will be change this offseason. And we're going to talk about that right now. In his tweet, he said, "All I can say right now is there's been a surprising amount of buzz about potential changes with the Islanders. I've heard personally from several people in the know who seem to believe there will be job openings." Now, Chris Botta goes on to talk about how he is hesitant to feel hope. He has been very vocal about wanting Lou Lamoriello to be fired and for the Islanders to go in a different direction. And for a while, it seemed like that wasn't going to happen. Arthur Staple wrote in his column that he believed that Lou Lamoriello would continue to have his job in the future. And as of right now, that may still be the case. But it seems now that Malkin is paying attention to what's going on with the Islanders. He knows, as the owners, that fans are disappointed. He knows that the attendance was going down, as we're going to talk about in a little bit, because I really think this is a catalyst for what's going on here. But now there is talk, and we don't know how much change there will be, but when there's smoke, there is fire, as Chris Botta said. And before, when it came to Lou Lamoriello, outside the fans complaining, there was no smoke. Among all the members of the Islanders management, there really was no smoke. From the AHL to the coaching with Patrick Waugh, there really was no talk of change, and you just had to assume that things would stay the same. But now, with this tweet, there is confirmation that there at least is some consideration from the Islanders to make change, and for everyone who wants Lou Lamoriello to get fired, or at least have some change in the organization, this is very encouraging. Now we're going to talk a little quickly about why I think there is all this talk of change all of a sudden, and whether or not, as Chris Botta mentions, it might just be smoke to make the fans feel better. Now, the big reason why the Islanders are probably considering change even more than the disappointing product on the ice, because I think if it was just this disappointing season, Lou Lamoriello probably does keep his job. But the fans have spoken, and attendance at UBS Arena has been down. And that's not because the fans don't care about the Islanders. It's because, at least in my opinion, it's because the Islanders keep on putting out the same mediocre product year after year, a product that gets older and older. Personally, I did not go to an Islander game this season. This is the first time in a long time that I have not gone to a single Islander game. And there were some games that I considered going, but there were so many times where I look at the schedule and the Islanders were in a losing slump, or like they just were not putting up any goals, and I couldn't get excited to go to a game. The one game I almost did go to was Matt Martin's final game. He was one of my favorite Islanders. But this shows fans are frustrated with this team. This team is not exciting to watch, and you can see that in the numbers, with the Islanders seeing drops of 2.2% fans last season, and then 3.6% drop this season, going from almost filling the arena every single night to really having 2,000 seats empty every single game. And you know this is going to have the attention of the owner, an owner who, there was another report who recently, in the 4 years the Islanders have been owned by Malkin, it seems as if they've lost $80 million. Now, of course, this isn't too alarming because the valuation of the franchise has gone up. So this is not a situation where we're at risk of losing the Islanders like we were like a couple of years ago. There's no concern in that sense. But clearly, this is a team that is not making money. And as the owners, you have to imagine they are not happy with this. Now, opposed to what some fans believe, Scott Malkin is the owner who is going to be in charge of making any changes. Yes, John Ledecky has been very present, at least in past seasons, not so much this year with the fan base, but he's not the one who's going to be making the hockey decisions. I'm sure he does have a voice, How much of a voice he has when it comes to making those changes, we're not sure, because we really haven't heard that much about Malkin, and that was really a concern Islanders fans had, wondering if he cares. Now it seems like he cares, or at least it seems like he cares that we think he cares. As Chris Brada mentions, this could be a ploy just to get Islander fans more calm about the situation by thinking the owner cares about the team. Like maybe that's a thing where they leak this to Elliot Friedman just to have him talk about it, and they're really not considering moving on from Lou Lamoriello or any of the staff. I don't believe this is the case. I don't think ownership cares that much that we care about what is going on. If they're talking like this, I definitely think there is some consideration on changing management. Now, how much change? That is a question. As Chris Brada says, he's concerned that they might just fire an assistant coach or two, and that will be it. Yes, that would be a concern, but honestly, with the way the Islanders season has gone, even firing an assistant coach can go a decent way into at least doing something, because the coaching staff has not been great this season. I like Patrick Waugh. He has made some questionable decisions lately, but one big problem I have with this coaching staff is part of the coaching staff is not even people he brought in. I mean, John McClain is a great example of a coach that was on the Islanders before Patrick Waugh was brought in. And when it comes to the assistant coaching in the Islanders, yes, a big part of the Islanders' special teams failures does fall on Patrick Waugh, but it also falls on the assistant coaching. I know it'll be awkward to fire John McClain, considering that his son is on the team playing on the fourth line, but at some point there needs to be some sort of change, and at the very least you need to fire an assistant coach. Realistically, you probably want a clean house when it comes to the Islanders, at least with Lou Lamoriello and Patrick Waugh. Realistically, it's not really worth talking about Patrick Waugh, whether or not he's going to keep his job. I think it's pretty simple. If Lou Lamoriello is not fired, then Patrick Waugh is going to be the coach of the Islanders next season. However, if Lou Lamoriello goes, then Patrick Waugh is almost definitely going to be fired, as you got to assume a new GM is going to want to bring in their own coach, but we'll see about that. But when it comes to Patrick Waugh, the focus here definitely has to be with Lou Lamoriello. And honestly, when it comes to the Islanders, I think this issue is more of a roster problem and a GM problem than a coaching problem. Yes, a great coach like Barry Trotz might have been able to get a little bit more out of this team, but Barry Trotz was fired because he could not get this aging Islanders roster into the playoffs. And I really don't think there's any coach out there that can really change the Islanders' fortunes all that much. Yes, you might be able to milk a few more wins out of this group, but then what? No coach is going to be able to get the Islanders into a deep run for the playoffs the way they are currently built. This roster is not good enough, and that falls on Lou Lamoriello. And the question now is Scott Malkin going to do anything about it? Really quickly, I also want to mention, on top of the Islanders potentially talking about making management changes, while this is not as related because, just because they make changes for the Islanders doesn't mean they'll necessarily make changes for the Bridgeport Islanders, but we also have to quickly mention that there needs to be change in the Bridgeport Islanders. I mean, Rick Kowalski needs to be fired after the past 2 seasons. I know Lou Lamoriello always emphasizes the focus of your AHL team is not to win games, it is to develop players. But winning 4 games out of 40 at home is absolutely abysmal, and that cannot help the development of any players or really the franchise as a whole. I understand that an AHL team does not have to be super competitive. They don't need to be winning every single night. But 4 games at home, 15 games in total, that is a complete joke. It can't be good for anyone, and if anything, it's making it so prospects do not want to play for the Islander system, which is definitely not ideal. So hopefully we see change here too, but the main focus is obviously Lou Lamoriello. And honestly, if Lou Lamoriello is fired, there'll be change in Bridgeport too, because his son Chris Lamoriello is the GM of the Bridgeport Islanders. That being said, let me know what you think. Do you think there should be change with the Islanders in terms of management? And do you want to see Lou Lamoriello fired? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, if you have not already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. My name is Patrick Nilan. This is Islanders Digest. Let's go Islanders.